Jason Whitlock believes that Deion Sanders promotes radical materialistic things. But before we get off into this video and you come across this video, do me a favor. Please like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you got your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And if this is your first time coming across the platform and you're new to the channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, post your comments, share the video out. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. And you know what my mantra is. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. Well, today's video, man, we got to talk about Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock has now took a malicious shot at Deion Sanders. But before we get off into this video is sponsored by True Choice Insurance.
This episode is sponsored by True Choice Insurance. Here at True Choice, we take a different philosophy when it comes to providing you with your insurance options. We emphasize the value of the products we offer, instead of playing on the fear of you not being protected in your time of need. True Choice is affiliated with more than 60 insurance companies. This makes us one of the most independent agencies in the state of Texas. Please visit TrueChoiceInsurance.com for all your insurance needs.
Shout out to my man Brian Kelly over there at True Choice Insurance, man. You guys get with him for all your insurance needs. Well, let's get right off into it, man. Well, you know, I've been covering Deion Sanders right soon as he took over the head coaching job at Colorado back in December of 2022. And Deion Sanders has been in the news. And ever since he's took over that job, he's had big supporters, and he has some guys that really just slander his name. And there's no other than y'all's man, Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock has slandered Deion Sanders' name in so many ways to where it's ridiculous. Some points that Jason Whitlock makes, some are some valid points. You can understand where Jason Whitlock is coming from if you just take the, what I say about Jason Whitlock, the hate out of your heart, and just listen to some of the things that Jason Whitlock says. He comes off as a coon, but at the same time, sometimes he makes valid points. You just gotta take time to listen to what he's talking about and then take a deep dive into what he's saying, and you can understand some of the points that he's making when he's in reference to Deion Sanders. But some of his stuff that he says is very outlandish. And one thing that's very outlandish is, how can another man tell another man about his own Christian beliefs and the Lord that he's serving? That's the thing that gets me. Jason Whitlock thinks he is the only one that is doing the Lord's work, and he's doing it correctly. Now, Jason Whitlock has had his downfalls in life too. We've seen pictures floating around the internet of Jason Whitlock at the bars drinking liquor, posted up with all these women because his Ball State football career didn't pan out the way it was going to pan out, and he didn't make his dreams to the NFL. So what he did, he was a journalist. He covers the sport. And one guy that he's been covering for the longest is Deion Sanders. They right around the same age. But in this instance, Jason Whitlock has been very critical of Deion Sanders, and we know that. It's on record. In this latest episode that Jason Whitlock has talked about Deion Sanders, I think it's borderline egregious. I think he's crossed the line. But if you just listen to him in his entirety, some of the things that he say, you can question. Some of the things you sit back and you shake your head and be like, wow. But this time on his Fearless podcast, he had a Christian rapper on his podcast by the name of D1. D1 has come to the defense of Deion Sanders, and him and Jason Whitlock has had a sit down and a lengthy conversation, and they had a lot of things to discuss. Let's take a listen to what Jason Whitlock said on his Fearless podcast when he had the Christian rapper D1 on. Take a listen.
Continue on for a little bit. Start with Deion Sanders. The where I disagree with you is, I don't think Deion and I are trying to accomplish the same thing. I think Deion is highly, highly materialistic and promotes radical materialism. I think that Deion is the same age as me, and we were college athletes at the same time, him at a super high level, me at a mediocre level. As a media person, I've covered his entire career.
That sounds like jealousy right there.
Deion's the same person he was at 19 years old. He's a radical materialist. He's covered it up with some scripture and some praying online or whatever, but at the end of the day, the reason why I'm critical of Deion is because I think virtually all of his actions promote things that are antithetical to Christianity.
Wow.
I think he's embraced Christianity as a covering for his radical materialism, and it's a nice little ploy, but it's like, take Snoop made a gospel album. That ain't covering up Doggy Style and all the other stuff. These are radical materialists, and materialism is destroying young black men.
How can you say what his agenda is?
Come on, man.
It's hard for me to judge. I think his actions speak that he's serving radical materialism. We're the same age. I used to own big gold chains. And at some point you evolve and you go, this is crazy. I'm 56 years old and I'm still running around here with big gold chains.
But where's that a sin at in the Bible?
I call it a sin.
All right.
I'm saying it's a promotion of radical materialism.
See, he checked Whitlock.
Deion's an idol, and I'm very hard on idols. Idolatry is a big part. It's just like you said,
only hard on
Lil
Deion.
Wayne, it's got MOB tatted on, and you see little kids tatting MOB on. When I look at Deion and I see young men making very poor decisions so they can buy a gold chain and impress somebody, I blame Deion, rappers, and others. But in the sports media lane, no one, particularly in football, which is my sport, no one's had more of a, in my view, negative influence on the mindset of young athletes.
That's incorrect.
I'll throw black in there as well, than Deion and his radical materialism.
That's incorrect.
That everything is about money. Nothing is about true service. And so we have a fundamental disagreement about what Deion's real agenda is. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying I got a long history of covering his career, being involved in athletics, seeing his impact. I trust my evaluation a bit more than yours, as you probably trust your evaluation more than mine, but mine is based off a lot of history. And so what I see Deion doing, when I see him leave Jackson State and then go to Colorado, a virtually all-white school, and then argue that people are afraid of him because he's black and all this.
Deion never said that.
Promotion of racial idolatry, that's not Christ-like. A lot of the stuff that he
you're pushing the narrative.
It's just not Christ-like. It's not a mature walk. And people actually defend him.
Man, now Jason Whitlock said a lot there, and the rapper D. Lee, or D1, he came to Deion's defense. He kind of checked, Jason Whitlock on some of his talking points. One thing that I got out of what Jason Whitlock said, now y'all can go to the Fearless podcast and listen to the conversation in its totality, because there was a lot to unpack. But from what we listened to, what I get out of it, Jason Whitlock sounds jealous of Deion Sanders because they're the same age, and his football days and his playing career didn't evolve and take off like Deion Sanders did. Deion Sanders has always been, what his calling is to teach these kids. And this is what Deion has done ever since he stopped playing football and baseball. He has reached back into the community and he is teaching these kids. And the thing about it is, for you to say that, he's a radical materialistic type of person and he's not serving the same Lord that you're serving, we're all serving one God. And for you to say that, what his agenda is, for you personally to say what his agenda is, how are you going to say what another man's agenda is when it comes to serving the Lord. Also, talked about Jackson State. He left Jackson State and went to Colorado, an all-white school, where he said that people was afraid of him. Now, see, the thing about mainstream media, they always want to push these agendas about certain people. Now, he talked about he's critical on idols. You're only critical on Deion Sanders. You're not critical. You said something in reference to Lil Wayne, but you don't go into deep conversations about Lil Wayne. You only do it about Deion Sanders. Now, Deion Sanders left Jackson State. He was there for 3 to 4 years. He left Jackson State, took a position at Colorado where they offered him $30 million. Now, in the world that we live in, it's all about generational wealth, right? So if you're getting money and you're passing it along to your kids to set them up, to set their kids up, what is wrong with that? In the society that we live in, you got to survive. You can't survive when you don't have no money. You got bills to pay. And for you to say that, you know, he's promoting radical materialistic things for kids to go out and buy jewelry, Deion is not doing that. Deion is not promoting nobody to go out and buy jewelry. That's one thing I disagree with you on. It's a lot of things that you said that kind of makes sense from what your beliefs are. But how are you going to judge another man on what he's doing and how he's serving the Lord? Deion said his calling was always to help the youth out. And that's what Deion is doing. He's impacting the youth. But for you to say that, you know, certain things like the killings and things like that, you blame Deion and all these rappers. Yeah, rappers and stuff, because kids are influenced by what they see on television and what the rappers have, all the money that they flashing, the gold chains and things like that. But Deion has been doing that ever since he has came into the football world, came into the sports world. Ain't nothing changed. I don't care if he's 56 years old, if he wants to don a gold chain, but the gold chain has a cross on there, a Jesus piece. You know, his kids, what they doing with their money, they're making a lot of money. It's generational wealth. You know, you're building a foundation for these kids to survive. So you guys, man, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I mean, Jason Whitlock, some of the things that you can agree on, but a lot of things that you can disagree. But what Jason Whitlock said that really bothers me, and he always says that, how are you going to judge another man on what his calling is and what he's doing to serve the Lord? And y'all heard in that soliloquy that D1, the Christian rapper, he checked him on there. He said that is not a sin in the Bible. So guys, just let me know, man. I want to hear from y'all, because Jason Whitlock, man, you know, he's a controversial dude, but some of the things he speaks can be truthful, but some of the other things that he says is very outlandish. So make sure you guys post your comments, share the video out, give this video a thumbs up, and we're going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
Another one.